All right, I'm sorry I've been away for a while. Just put it down to technical difficulties rather than anything else, but I hope to be broadcast on a more regular basis now. Uh, the first thing that comes into my head tonight is about the BBC3 closing down. Now, and they're going to put it online. Now, I don't watch BBC3. Personally, I think it's a load of crap. And I don't like comedy. Well, I don't like contemporary comedy. I don't find it very funny. But at the same time, I think it's absolutely outrageous that they're closing down BBC3, because now there is a veiled threat that they're also going to close down BBC4, and they're probably going to start trimming radio programs as well. Now, this is all very well and good, but you've got to remember that we pay equivalent of well over a week's dole for our TV license every year, that it's supposed to be public. Nobody asked us if we wanted to close down BBC3 or BBC4 or the stations or anything like that. Nobody asked us who was going to be the directors. They're not elected. We don't elect them. They're appointed by the government and the system. And they're all old Etonians, all old boys, and boys they are indeed, old boys, who don't know night from day. People like Lord Patton, who's never done a day's work in his life, has probably never watched EastEnders, probably considered it beneath him, who didn't know anything about what was going on with Jimmy Savile. Nothing at all. None of them seem to know anything. And now in the papers today, I've been reading about that there is a culture of bullying at the BBC. So, what have I got to say about the closing of BBC3? I think it's an absolute outrage considering that we pay for it. Whether we like it or not, the programmes on BBC3, we should protest. We should do something about it, I think. It's up to the people that watch BBC3 to do something about it. You've got to remember that the BBC is supposed to be paid by us. It's a tax. It's about £3 a week or something like that, just under £3 a week. It's a tax, and it's not tax deductible either. It's a tax on everybody, and particularly old age pensioners, people on low wages, people on the dole. It's money that is just taken out of their pocket to put into the pockets of these rich bastards that are running it and giving themselves massive payoffs. And there's another thing as well. We were assured a few years ago that they would keep the crown jewels, like, for example, the racing at Aintree, the Grand National. It was absolutely assured that they would keep the Grand National and other sporting events. The BBC do not even broadcast any horse racing now. Whether you like horse racing or not is completely irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that they guaranteed that the crown jewels, such as the Grand National, and Ascot, BBC used to do as well, would be there and would be untouched. Well, they don't show it anymore. Goes to show that their promises are worthless. Why are they closing down BBC3? To save money. Well, I've got a really good idea where they can save money. They can sack the whole bloody lot of the directors. All those people that sit on their asses, don't watch the programmes that are made anyway, are just political appointees, lords and other such scum. They should be immediately sacked with no severance pay or anything and just booted out onto the streets, although they won't be on the streets, will they? They'll be going back to their plush mansions and their other little jobs that they've got that pay thousands and thousands of quid a week for doing nothing. Company directorships and so on. I've got a different idea about BBC3. I reckon it should be turned over to the public. That there should be a director just for BBC3, and that the directors and all the highest pay that you could get be £1,000 a week, which in today's wages is nothing, but if you're like me or unemployed or low paid, is quite a bit of money. £1,000, not 100,000 or not 200,000 or 300,000 that they get, but just 1,000, and that the whole channel should be turned over to the public so that we can make our own programmes. After all, we pay for it all. Why shouldn't we have a say of what's on it, and why shouldn't we make our own programmes? Because this will never happen unless because we actually go and seize the buildings in a revolutionary period. But for the interim period, I would suggest that yes, we can make our own programmes. Why not? And also, there's another thing as well. this is just responding to government cuts, and you've got to remember that the BBC is absolutely scared of the government unless they do take away their money and so on, which is our money anyway. So the people that are upset by losing BBC3 and, as it's threatened, BBC4 in the future, and just the whole crap that they put on anyway that most of us don't like anyway, why don't we do something about it? Why don't we, instead of twittering, why doesn't someone organise on the internet a big demonstration outside their broadcasting house and try and rush in and seize it? Have a proper demonstration like they do. If this was France or Bosnia or somewhere like that, there'd be thousands of people on the streets. They'd seize the building. They'd make their point known. BBC3 would not go away and be put online. These super animated politicians would all be given the sack. So yeah, let someone organise it. I'll turn up, and I'm quite sure quite a few other people will turn up as well, because we're just sick of it anyway. This is just another symptom of what's going on now, that we're being robbed blind and then taking the piss out of. So yeah, someone should organise a demonstration. No, not a demonstration. Why bother walking through the streets? Someone should organise just a mass protest outside BBC with the intention of raising merry hell until they deliver what we want. And that is to say, BBC3 back again, a guarantee of no more cuts on programmes, and in fact perhaps a promise of making more programmes, of having a BBC 5 and 6. After all, we pay enough money for it. They could have a repeat channel. They could show all the Wednesday plays from the 60s, the classic television series of the 60s and the 50s and the 70s. It wouldn't cost them a penny to make. All they'd have to do is broadcast it. But then again, I'm not like Chris Patton, am I? What do I know about television? What do I know about broadcasting? I'm just a mug that pays the licence. I'm just a mug that watches the crap that they dish out. The quality of BBC broadcasting is deteriorating rapidly. So not only are you getting less for your money, but you're getting crap for your money as well. So anyway, let's get it together. Let's get outside the British Broadcasting Company and raise merry hell. Let someone organise it and let's get on with it. Otherwise, we're going to end with no programmes. They're just going to take the money from us and they're just going to pay off the directors, and that'll be the perfect result for them, won't it? Well, I think that we have something different to say from that, and I think we should do what I've suggested, and that is raise merry hell.